Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and today we are welcomed by Mr. SoCal Crazy. How we doing, my friend?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you guys for everybody listening and watching. Thank you for sharing your day with us. Really appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. Before we dive into your wrestling career, fandom, and even some of the other trials and tribulations you've dealt with in life, would you like to shout out your social medias and where they can find all the latest SoCal Crazy news?
Absolutely. First and foremost, so for those that don't know me, my name is SoCal Crazy. Been wrestling for a little bit over 22 years now. I started in 2002. I'm primarily based out of San Diego, California. So I started in the San Diego region. Instagram, you can go to SC Crazy at Instagram. Facebook, I'm under Diego Lee. It's a combination of two words that are very, very dear to my heart. So you can find me on as Diego Lee on Facebook. Those are my two main social medias that I do. I don't really do anything else other than those two. Uh, gmail.com.
It cut out a little bit at the end when you were saying the email. You want to say it one more time? I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, email again is sccrazy one at gmail.com.
Okay. I always start at the same place. We are all fans at heart. I guess doing this for 22 years, you got to be a fan of it. You got to love it. When did you
Absolutely.
find professional wrestling, and what made you fall in love?
Oh man, well, I've always been a fan of it. Like I'm sure, like 90% of the professional wrestlers in the world. I fell in love with this sport at a very young age. Oh man, I had an aunt and an uncle who back then every Sunday you actually had to call your cable company and set up the pay-per-view and all that stuff. So my aunt Leonore, who I credit her with this into wrestling. She would make on the Sundays we would have pay-per-views that she would rent it for us, and we would all gather at her house. It would literally become one big family get together when there was always back then the WWF pay-per-views. But then, so that I just fell in love with that, with the togetherness that wrestling brought to my family. And then as I grew up, I never left me. There were times where it was just I wouldn't think about it, but it was always in the back of my head. As a fan. It wasn't until I ran into a promoter out here in the San Diego area who at the time was running a school or a company named California Championship Wrestling, CCW. And they were based out of northern San Diego County, Vista, California, to be precise. And they had a school called the Palace of Pain. Well, one day I ran into the owner, Charles, of it, and we had a conversation about professional wrestling, and he convinced me to check it out, and I did. And man, the first show that I checked out at the Palace of Pain was amazing, and that was my very first introduction to independent wrestling. Before then, I didn't really know that there was an independent wrestling scene. I was more focused on the bigger stage, the WWF, the WCW, ECW, all of that stuff. So me finding the independent scene and then so close to home, I mean, it was a no brainer. It's here, the door's here. I ran into this gentleman for a reason, and that's pretty much how it started. To go back to your question, as a fan, it's just I've never lost a love for it. I've always had it, and I still do.
Absolutely, and I like how it's family oriented. It's same. I feel like that's
Correct.
a lot of people's story. Is an older relative or sibling gets you into it. So I like that
Yeah.
connection. That's how I grew up. My dad, my uncle, my grandfather. We all watched it every Monday, every
Yeah.
Friday or Thursday, whenever SmackDown was on. Even TNA, like my dad,
Yeah.
he had to
Right. I
pay
mean,
for them, but he had the
absolutely
little
though.
box, and you could like get the pay per views for free. So like I know how it
Yeah.
went.
Yeah, man, it's great. Yeah, I mean, there was no better feeling, I think, back growing up as a kid, watching professional wrestling and being mesmerized by all of the theatrics and everything, there's just everything was just perfect at that point, that era, of my life. We had family that gets together, had professional wrestling on television. I mean, there was really nothing else we could ask for. It was even so cool that I remember vaguely that when my uncle made a makeshift wrestling belt, and we would have little wrestling matches in the living room before the pay-per-views. So it was just an amazing time, man. It was great.
I gotta ask, since how you are a luchador, what was your introduction to lucha libre? Was it through like WCW and ECW, or did you find it another way?
No, I mean, I've always been a fan of lucha libre, just being from the Mexican descent, Mexican culture. I've always loved it. I had the opportunity to see some AAA wrestling when I was younger. I remember there was one show in Escondido, actually my hometown. We had a little amphitheater like in the outskirts of town, and I do remember, man, in the 90s, actually did a stop in our town. Had a great show. Pedro Aguayo was there on the card. Vampiro, I believe. I barely remember, but those are the two names that stick out the most. But I mean, it's just I don't know. So like I said, Lucha Libre, always been a fan of it. When I had the opportunity to actually start, it was something that I couldn't pass up. So I took it and I rolled with it, and I was able to get it.
So when did you stumble across SoCal Pro?
Started out of a friend of mine, the SoCal Pro, Jeff Dino. We were actually training together at that time. I don't remember the dates, but we were both involved in a company called SAW, which was ran by the Colorado kid Mike Rapada out here in San Diego. Anyways, that's how we met, and when SAW kind of fell out, Jeff had an idea of starting his own stuff, and it was the beginning stages of what would become SoCal Pro Wrestling. And I remember the first show, maybe 2000. I'm not 100% sure on the dates, unfortunately, but first show we did have was at Oceanside High School. And it was, since then, SoCal Pro hasn't stopped. So I was just very fortunate to be at the right time, meet the right people, and become good friends with the right people in my training.
So I'm interested in knowing, now you're currently one of the head lucha coach for SoCal Pro.
Correct.
What does training the younger talent look like compared to how you were trained back in the early 2000s?
Well, it's not much change, other than now we do focus a little bit more on the theatrical aspect of professional wrestling in training. But the physical attributes, the physical training is still the same. That doesn't go away. It never ends. It's physical training. It's hard. It is very hard. It's one of the main questions I always get is it hard to train? And it is. It takes a physical toll on your body. Even training takes a physical toll on your body, like any sports, right? Like any professional sports. But as far as like the aspect in comparison to when I started in the training now, like I said, I don't think there's much difference, other than we have to take into consideration the aspect of the entertainment aspect now. That would be the most challenging now part of it, because it's almost like it's a two-part training, right? Because you have to get all of the basics down as far as the tumbling, the falling, and all that. But then at the other side, you also have to learn and get your gimmick or your character going. So it's character driven, I guess, train to be. That would probably be the only difference, I guess, from when I.
Okay. Now, upon doing research, you've been associated and around SoCal Pro pretty much since its inception, even down to being the second ever SoCal Pro heavyweight champion, taking down Jason Redondo, who I just had his son on not too long ago. Shout out, Jake. But what did it mean to you to be able to take that title from Jason and go on to have such a crazy, long-standing rivalry and feud with Jason?
Oh man, that was that was probably my very first responsibility as a champion in a company. Not that the preceding championships that I've held meant, they were all equal, obviously. But SoCal Pro was a little bit more special to me because I was a part of that company from its inception. And not only that, but just to see where we started, and then to just that first year, there was a lot of doubts that, were we going to be able to make it? Were we even run more shows? And I was lucky enough to work close with the owners at the time, where it was worrying, So when I got the opportunity to work with Jason and winning the SoCal Pro title, it was just ecstatic, because I felt validation. I felt like, okay, cool. This is something that I worked really hard for, and it's happening, and it's here. But then at the same time, there was a lot of pressure, because, being in the infant stages that SoCal Pro was at the time, we were like the only company in San Diego. So there was a lot of eyes on us in the wrestling world, because, San Diego was known as a hotbed for professional wrestling, and it had cooled down for a little bit. But when SoCal Pro came, I felt like it gave it a little bit of a jump start, and we got very lucky to be in that position. So, winning the belt and then running the feud with Redondo, whom, man, I mean, Redondo was one of the very first, was the champion when I first started wrestling. He was the heavyweight champion for CCW, but at the same time, he was well known around the scene. He had been doing some enhancement talent for the WWF at the time. So Redondo was the big dog on campus at the time, so just to run that angle with him was amazing. And I want to say that it kickstarted, or it helped kickstart the professional wrestling scene back in San Diego, because we did run a really good year feud, and man, we did everything. We even got, we went as far as involving the NWA in it. We got, at the time, the NWA heavyweight champion, Adam Pearce, got involved in it. So it was just an amazing, everything just fell together, and it was just an amazing opportunity for us. And the crowd was able to follow us and support us. Even now, I just probably one of the best participations that I've been blessed with in professional wrestling.
I love it. If Cage Match is correct, you've been a 4-time SoCal Pro champ. Do you have a favorite run?
Well, it's hard. I mean, they're all special, but I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to say that it would be the first run. Just because it, again, going back to your previous answer, it just helped establish us, and I'd like to think that it helped kickstart professional wrestling in San Diego again. So definitely the first run is unbelievable. It's something that I'm always going to cherish. And I got to thank Jeff Dino for even considering putting me in there. I mean, just the consideration alone was enough.
Definitely. You brought up doing some work with Adam Pearce, who at the time was the NWA champion, now the current Raw GM. What was your experience like working not only with Adam, but being associated and kind of doing a partnership with the NWA?
Oh man, it was great. It was again, it was an accomplishment. Something I I can check off on the bucket list, just to have gotten the opportunity to work with an NWA affiliate at the time was amazing. And I mean, there's not enough I can say about Adam. For those that don't know, I mean, Adam Pearce is the personification of professional wrestling. I mean, when I got the opportunity to work with him, it was like going to professional wrestling school all over again. Like, the man is just insane when it comes to professional wrestling. Like, he's just a walking, like a walking professional wrestling university. Like, the man is just incredible. So for me to work with him, I learned a lot. Like, I literally learned a lot. I can probably say that I learned, for the, I don't know, what it was 8-9 months that I worked with Adam. Man, I could say that I learned so much from him when it came to the American aspect of professional wrestling. I learned a lot from him. It's something that I will never forget, obviously. And if you get a chance, I don't know, I haven't seen all of our matches, but those that are watching, if you get a chance, you want to check out, I highly recommend some of our matches. Go check them out. They're floating around somewhere. I'm sure you could find them.
Definitely. I'm sure they're on YouTube somewhere. I think the craziest thing I saw about your career was you took place in a 159-man battle royal.
Yes.
How does that even work?
I believe that was for the Alternative Wrestling Shop, AWS, which is the 3-ring battle royal. I don't know the entire details to it, but to my understanding, I believe the promoter, who's a very good friend of mine, Bart, believe he was trying to set a world Guinness record for the most wrestlers in the battle royal. But I don't really remember the whole details, but it was insane. I mean, it was, I have never been in a locker room with so many talent, and not just like all the talent, but like incredible talent, like guys that at the time were just tearing up the scene, and they were out there, and day after day tearing it up. And just to get all of us in the locker room for one night was incredible. I mean, you would think that with so many wrestlers in one locker room, there would be egos and people, do this, but no, it was completely opposite. It was just, everybody was having a good time. It felt like a family reunion, honestly, so it was actually an awesome event. I think we had more fun in the locker room, just, reuniting than the actual match itself. But I do remember that one of the rings, because there was so much weight on it, I think one of the rings ended up breaking. So it was a pretty good experience, and it was great. It was just, it was, I like to consider it more as like a free time or like a free pass, because I mean, there was no pressure. There was no pressure to go out there and really and kill yourself. It was more like a relaxed vibe where you can just go out and have fun. And I believe that projected onto the crowd, because it was a great night. Like, everybody was just was having a good time. People were laughing. There was cheers, and it was just great, man.
As a fan, battle royals, I feel like on TV are never that fun, but you watch them, and in the arena. Even like, I really enjoy battle royals at an independent show, because they're just so much different. It's such a more usually a more confined space, so it just seems so much more personal. So I can only imagine what it's like being in the crowd, and there's almost 160 men in 3 rings battling it out. It just has to be a good time. And then, like you said, you look at the names of some of the guys that are with you. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it was, man. And another cool thing that happened, a lot of up and comers that also were a part of that rumble, and just to see the interaction of the new guys interacting with the older guys, I felt like I was in the middle, because I was like, okay, cool, I work with all these new kids, and I worked with everybody else who's my age. But now getting to see the new guys interact with the old guys and criticizing each other, but at the same time in a playful manner, it was just amazing, man. It almost felt like 2 worlds coming together for one night,
Absolutely. I know I brought this up earlier, you being head coach or head lucha coach for SoCal Pro. When did you kind of move into that role and start helping with training some of the guys and girls?
That actually landed accidentally. At the time when SoCal Pro, I don't think a lot of people know this, but when SoCal Pro first started, another promotion that started in San Diego, which was New Wave Pro Wrestling. SoCal Pro and New Wave they basically started the same night. The concept was there the same night when it was created. So when New Wave started, which was owned by Andy Jasic and Trevor Allen, who collectively were known as Anchors Away in our area, one of the greatest tag teams that we've had in San Diego. Their school, they started their school a little bit closer to the border, so it was only fitting for them to incorporate the lucha libre style into their training sessions. So Andy and Trevor came up to me and basically asked me if I was interested in coaching for them. And at the time, I really wasn't, because I had my career itself. I was just picking up a little bit of steam, so I really wanted to put 100% into where I was going. But I couldn't say no to them, because obviously I love those two guys to death. Jeff, Andy, and Trevor are always going to be very good friends of mine, and I will do anything for them. So I ended up taking the gig, and I ended up being their trainer, and it was great, and basically that's how I ended up becoming a trainer. And I carved a really good niche out of it. Just, I credit my trainers because of what they taught me and how they taught me. I was able to transition into a coach, and it's been ever since. It's been great, and I've been coaching now. That was around 2008, I believe. So been coaching around for a while now. And again, I just credit my incredible training, and I'm blessed that I'm able to pass down what I was taught.
Like, I know, like, if you look at like your Instagram and stuff, the title is Head Lucha Coach. Is that the only thing that you help them train in, or do you help them train in the other styles and just the basics and stuff like that as well?
Well, no, I mean, right now I do incorporate a lot of the basics, just because I always want to test students out. I want to see where they are with my own eyes. So I always go back to the basics. And if you're, in my eyes, if I see that you're doing good, you got your basics down, then that's when I incorporate the little bit more difficult stuff in the lucha libre style of it, because it takes a certain individual to master that style, and I'm by far not even a master of this style. I'm not even close, but I've been lucky enough, like I said, to have really good trainers that have taught me a thing or two about this. So when I see that your basics are down, then I start incorporating more the lucha libre aspect into your American style. So for me, I love to incorporate both styles together. Rey Mysterio is a very good example. So his style of professional wrestling is what I really like to teach the students that we have at SoCal Pro. But no, I mean, at the meantime, I like to dabble on both. I was recently able to do a couple of training sessions with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So now I incorporate what I learned from Kushida and Coach Fred Roser and them, and it's a big mixture, man. It's a big mixture. But my style is heavily more lucha libre oriented. Yeah.
You kind of just led me into my next question. You talked about the New Japan Dojo. What I should say, when did that opportunity present itself, and kind of what did your time, training alongside those guys look like?
Oh man, it was great. It was something I needed, because it fell in between my cancer treatments. So I had just conquered my first battle with cancer, and I felt, I mean, going through chemotherapy that just destroyed my body. So I needed something to get my body back into professional wrestling shape. A really, really good friend of mine who wrestles as Calder McCall out here on the West Coast. He he actually was the one that brought the idea of the New Japan Pro Wrestling and training. He had done it himself, and he was very high on it, and he recommended it highly. I was a little skeptical about it. I was like, I knew, obviously everybody knows New Japan Pro Wrestling, but at the time I didn't think it was a fit for me. My sights were going back down to Tijuana and started to train back with the Tijuana crew, and Lucha Libre. But eventually, Calder and my wife, they they actually went behind my back and signed me up for the New Japan training. And so I remember they came up to me and they're like, "All right, you're going to start this training. You're going to start next week. Get your stuff ready and go." So it was a surprise. I obviously didn't say no. I went with it, and I went, and man, training that style, it was oh man, it was a blessing in disguise, because I'm so glad that I was able to go and participate. And it definitely kickstarted my passion for professional wrestling again after chemotherapy. And it definitely got me going again, physically, emotionally, and mentally. So it was something that I needed, and I can't thank New Japan Pro Wrestling, the LA dojo, for the opportunity, for them giving me that kickstart, and getting me going again. So it was amazing. And just the training, man, just to train under Fred Rosser, was, oh man. And it was just amazing having him critique you and watch you and just work with you was great. And, another guy who I was able to work closely with was Kushida, which was something that I never thought in a million years I would had the opportunity to do, but it was great. Having him letting me know, hey, you need to work more on this, or you got this right. You're perfect on this, was just amazing. So and it wasn't so much for validation as it was more just to learn and to get going, just that kickstart. So it was great. It was amazing. So if you ever get the opportunity to go out there, anybody that's watching, I highly recommend those training seminars. I highly recommend them.
Absolutely. I recently just had Johnny Robbie on, who wrestles with West Coast Pro Wrestling, and she also has done a lot of stuff with New Japan. And
Correct. Yeah.
when I had her on, she talked a lot about her time in the dojo and kind of how it helps, like learning the different styles is something like she really enjoys, being able to incorporate the American style or lucha libre style, your European style, and even the New Japan style. Like just learning the different styles is something that I always find really interesting, because I mean, when people hear wrestling, you assume there's only one way to do this, but there's so many
Correct.
different
Right.
ways. It's so fun to kind of get a peek and see
Yeah.
how they're doing it around the world.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what the product is pumping out now, right? I mean, if you watch, WWE, if you watch AEW or TNA or NWA, even GCW, like the wrestling's always evolving. There's always something new. So one of the biggest sayings that goes around in professional wrestling is you never stop learning. The day that you stop learning this craft is the day that you end up hanging your boots up. So you never stop, always evolve. So you always have to keep up.
Definitely. You mentioned it earlier. I want to kind of shed some light on what your journey and battle with cancer has been like. I know you are on your, I believe, second run with it.
Correct. Yeah.
What was your reaction when you first found out you were diagnosed the first time?
Well, wow, it was definitely an eye opener, and I was very, very lucky on finding that I had this disease. I literally could have been dead, because I found out that I got sick by the COVID shot. I got the COVID shot. This was back in 2021. I got the COVID shot. I wasn't feeling well afterwards, so I went to the doctor. Turns out that's how they found out that I was stage 4 colon cancer at the time. So I was pretty much, I guess, the spectrum. So I was very, very lucky that I was immediately worked on and was able to jump right into treatment. And it really came at me like a fastball, because literally I was literally in surgery like the very next night. So to me, I was like, whoa, this is just, it was something that I couldn't handle mentally. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there were times in the initial stages where I was freaking out. Luckily I had, I have a very cool support team, my wife and my mom and my brother, who are very close to me. They were always there and they were pushing for me. And so, it was scary, but it was something that I got very lucky that I had a great medical team that would just rushed right into it. And, luckily I'm still here.
Definitely. How long was the road for recovery the first time?
Well, so the first time I was, I ended up doing chemotherapy for about 8 months. It probably one of the worst experiences that I've ever experienced. Obviously, it's something that I don't recommend to people, but
Yeah.
it saved my life, obviously. And those that aren't familiar with chemotherapy, I mean, I'm sure everybody has heard about it, but it's something that once it, man, once it gets inside of you, it just changes you, like you just, I don't know, for lack of better terminology, it kills you. It literally does. So you have to like learn how to crawl back and fight back and reestablish everything. So it was rough, man. It was the first couple of months was very rough. It made it worse that on the particular cancer that I had, the tumor, where my tumors were located, I unfortunately had to have a coleostomy bag for about 8 months. So I had the whole package, you could say. I had the chemotherapy going, I had the ileostomy bag, and the whole treatment. I was in the hospital for maybe a good 4 or 5 months, living life like that. Very depressing, as you could imagine. Because literally, to me, it felt like the light switch was turned off. It literally went from night and day. So there were periods in my time where I thought I wasn't going to be able to escape this. Like maybe this is it. This is where I end. Yes. So again, I mean, I was doing the cancer deal for again 8 months and had all sorts of difficulties with it, but I was able to surpass it the first time. That was again early 2021 is when I found out, and battled most of 2021 through it. Came out successful. By still to this day don't know how, but I mean, all I can do is just credit my medical team for saving my life, honestly.
I know earlier you mentioned like having a good support system and having good people around you. What other, um, I don't want to say devices, but like what other methods did you use to cope with the craziness that's going on in your life at that time?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, I think thing IT or wise, I believe it or not, I wrote. I've always, since I started professional wrestling, I've always wanted to write a book about my journey into this sport. So I just ended up writing, and I literally wrote, man, maybe a good notebook stack of just how I felt and what I've experienced and what I was dealing with at the time. So that really helped me out a lot, that. And again, the emails and the DMs and the messages that I was getting from fans that were genuinely asking for my well-being and seeing how I was, like that, all of that helped out, man. But honestly, it was the writing, and man, I I I know how Mick Foley felt now when he was writing his books, when he got, and so I just felt great after all of that. Like I just, it was like a release, like I felt like I had all of this, you know, stuffed up inside. So writing all of that on a piece of paper was a really good release. And I have it, and I still plan to write a book. So you know, that's something that I still want to do. So every now and then, when I feel defeated, I actually go back and I'll read a couple of those pages, because that was probably by far the worst part of my life that I've ever had. Well, that I've ever had in my life. It was just a chapter in my life that was so horrible. But I use it as strength, man. I use it because if I can go down that deep, man, I mean the only way out is going up now.
Definitely, definitely. Um, you mentioned going to the New Japan Dojo to kind of get back into the flow of things. When
Right.
did it become a reality for you that you'd be able to come back and re-pursue professional wrestling?
I think it was probably the New Japan show that I was a part of. After the training there, I was able to be blessed with a match. So I did a 4-way match, and it was probably one of my first high profile matches that I had the opportunity to do since coming back from my first cancer. So to me, that was a big deal. I was thinking, can I even go out there and perform? But not only that, perform on a big stage like New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was something that was very, very heavy in my head, even in the locker room getting ready. Even, I'm not going to lie to you, even like standing behind the curtain waiting for your intro to go out to the ring, I was like, man, can I even do this? Can I do this? But luckily I did. And I credit my love for professional wrestling getting me through that, and my teachings that Fred and Kushida were giving me at the time. So to me, I mean, I think that was my main stamp of my return at the time was being able to perform for New Japan Pro Wrestling and going out there and giving it my all, and giving 100%, and it turned out to be a good match. I just so yeah, I would say that just probably was it, man. Was when I performed that night, because I knew I had built the confidence. The confidence was there, and I had the love for professional wrestling once again. So once I stepped out of the curtain, like it just, I, I guess I can say that I felt like I was home again, because everything was just like the nervousness and the sweating, like everything just felt good. Like something that I hadn't experienced in a while at that time.
Definitely. What was the response when you got back to coaching, or was that something you tried to pursue the whole time?
No, no, no. The response when I got back to coaching was great. I was actually looking forward to it, and believe it or not, I actually just picked right up where I left off. I didn't. There wasn't any pause or anything. Now with wrestling, with matches per themselves, yeah, I felt like there was a little pause sometimes because I had to get myself in the right mind frame for that. But for training, for some reason, it was literally I just snap on my fingers and okay, let's go back to work. And we literally picked up right where we left off. And if I remember correctly, I remember even reaching out to a couple of luchadors from a couple of old friends from Tijuana. And, I asked them for advice. I asked them, hey, what can I incorporate? What's the newest moves that you guys are incorporating down there? What can I teach my guys? So I had a lot of good feedbacks from a lot of guys that are still training down there. And they opened up a lot of new stuff that I was able to pass on to the SoCal Pro kids.
Love it. When did you find out that your cancer was back?
So for that haven't dealt with anybody with cancer and stuff, and again, I learned this as I went. Eventually beat cancer, you're on a watch list. So they watch you for about on a monthly period, and basically every 2 months you get a CAT scan just to make sure to see if everything is okay. Unfortunately, one of those CAT scans that I got on one of the checkups found 3 new tumors. So immediately my oncologist got a hold of me and told me, hey, we found some new tumors. It looks like they're growing again. We might have to put you back onto chemotherapy to control these. At the time when I got the news, I think I was probably maybe 8 or 9 months into a good return. I had a pretty good I had a pretty good steam. You know, I was being considered for some good title runs on some companies. Unfortunately, this news derailed everything, so everything had to stop. You know, I was in the process of returning back to Mexico, and I was actually going to do about a 6 to 8 week tour of Mexico. When I found out that all of this had to literally stop. You know, when I got the call, um, maybe about 2 weeks after I got the call, I was already looking at the options for treatments and getting a schedule, getting ready to go. So, you know, it just felt like again, like I had to, you know, that stop again. You know, the day and night thing that I was talking about earlier. Although this time I was a little bit more ready for it because I was given the heads up, like, hey, you know, your cancer returned, but we have a plan. Whereas the first time I literally just went in with a blindfold. Like I was like, man, I have no idea what they're going to do to me. I have no idea what to expect. So the second time it's still nerve wracking because obviously you know, these tumors have a mind of their own, you know, but I was more at ease because we had a plan. You know, my oncologist had a plan and my medical team had a plan. So, you know, and that's the plan that I'm on right now. You know, unfortunately, I've been doing this treatment now for a few months now, and it's a little harder. It's not so much chemotherapy; it's more of a immunotherapy that they got me on. But it still drains you. It's the effects are still kind of reminiscent of chemotherapy. So, but you know, good spirits. That's all we can do, right? I mean, there's nothing. At least we're you know, at least I get to play with my dogs every day, so I can't complain.
Do you still get to remain somewhat active in the wrestling world?
Well, I was at the moment, but I just got some. In fact, this is news that, if you don't mind, I can share with you guys. I was actually being considered for a new treatment trial, the last couple of weeks that will specifically target the tumors that I'm dealing with. So I did get accepted to the trial. I have a doctor's appointment with them on the 15th. I'm assuming they're going to lay out everything that they're going to end up doing or whatever I need to do. So for now, I had to pause any kind of physical activities. They told me just take it easy, give your body a rest so we can start fresh. So now they literally took me off of all the medications that I was on. They told me to stop working out, just basically live like a normal, I guess, like a normal person, I guess, you know, just enjoy life. They basically is their way of saying it. Just enjoy life. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, you know, which is really weird for me because this is actually the first time that I feel, if that makes any sense. Because before, I mean, I knew I had cancer, but I wasn't restricted. I was still able to at least go and wrestle a match or two. I was still able to go work out. I can still go run. But now it's like, no, you have to stop everything and just sit there. So now it actually feels like, oh man, I do have cancer, you know? So it's a little weird, but yeah, it is what it is. I can't complain.
So, I mean, out of curiosity, you know, usually like you hear that wrestling really consumes you guys' lives. What does SoCal Crazy do when he's not in the ring?
I don't know. That's what we're going to find out in these next 2 months because I have no idea. You know, like I said, I love to write. I literally picked that up or that trade up when I was at the hospital because there's really nothing else you could do other than write your thoughts and eat. That's really all you could do there, you know. And so, you know, I'm probably going to start looking into that. One of my biggest dreams that I've always wanted to do outside of wrestling was I've always wanted to write screenplays. So there's something that I really probably going to focus on. I really want to, you know, I would really want to write a screenplay about professional wrestling. You know, hence kind of like The Wrestler, kind of like that, but not so dramatic. You know, a little bit. I feel like the world needs one more good wrestling movie, so I'm gonna try to work on that. So probably that's what it's gonna consume most of my time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm probably gonna watch wrestling because I'm a big sucker for the I love the golden era of wrestling. You know, like I love watching Demolition. You know, the Rockers. The 1980s was my favorite era of professional wrestling. You know, to me, I mean, there was no bigger feud than Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 6. You know, like to me, that was whoa, man. So, you know, I'll probably do that and stuff, but I don't know, man. It's we're gonna find out and see what we do for the next 2 months. Try to keep busy.
Definitely, definitely. So, I mean, out of curiosity, before all this unfolded, what were some of your goals that you had for yourself in 2026, and how have they changed now?
Well, definitely it was. I had I was all wrestling. You know, I was thinking of touring more. I wanted to get out of the country more and tour a little bit more. You know, before my body tells me, okay, time out, no more. I feel at the time, you know, before the whole trial news, I felt like, cool, this is something that I could do. It was something financially that I was able to do or even consider. But now, you know, starting this new medicine, this new trial, and all this stuff. I mean, my focus now is more of my health. You know, I made a deal with my family. You know, I told them that if they let me wrestle a little bit in 2025, then I would just focus on the medical stuff in 2026. So, you know, I gotta put up with that. So, as much as it hurts to try to stay away from wrestling, you know, I have to really focus on my health, and I have to, you know, a lot of wrestlers that I've gotten the chance to become friends, really good friends with throughout the years. You know, the old school guys, they'll call me and be like, you know, don't be so hard headed. Wrestling's not going anywhere. Concentrate on your health. It'll be there when you come back. You know, but as a wrestler, it's hard, right? I mean, even for anything, not just a wrestler, but any professional baseball player, you know, hockey player, any professional sportsman will tell you that it's really hard to let go of it. You know, even to heal yourself up, it's something that it's hard, but you know, it's something that you got to do, and I have to concentrate on that. So, you know, to go back to your question, you know, 2026 is going to be focused more on getting me healthy and try to get me back to wrestling.
I mean, it seems like I guess the goal is to get healthy and get back to wrestling. Um,
Absolutely.
do you, when you get back into the go of things, something, you know, everybody always fantasy says, hey, I want to take on this guy or this guy. Does SoCal Crazy have a dream match scenario that hasn't happened yet?
Oh man, yeah, there is, but unfortunately, I don't think it can happen. I've always rate legendary Dean Malenko. I've always been a fan of Malenko's. You know, there were times where I thought our paths were going to cross. You know, I've been, you know, doing this again for 20 plus years. I've been blessed with a lot of good opportunities and a lot of good bookings. And there were some occasions where I was able to work for or in front of Dean Malenko. But I always wanted to have that match with him. That's probably going to go. I'm always going to take that with me as a dream match because, again, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. But if I were to say a dream match with a current professional wrestler out there right now, I've always wanted to try to work with Ricky Marvin. Always been a big fan of his work. So hopefully one day I get the opportunity to work with him. Hopefully it's late 2026 somewhere we can make it happen. You know, maybe consider the matchup. You know, going back to expand on your question a little bit, I've been blessed to work with a lot of great superstars throughout my career. You know, people that I wanted that were dream matches, you know, like Juventud Guerrera, you know, Rey Mysterio, Super Crazy, like guys like that. But, you know, hands down, man, it's just Malenko, man. Malenko would have been the one.
I love it. It's cool because I think doing this podcast so far, the most common answer I get is probably Jeff Hardy, just because of the era we're in. I've never
Correct.
heard Malenko, but I always really liked Dean Malenko as a kid because, for one, his style and character was so
Correct.
contrasting to everything else you've seen. He was just a badass. Like Dean Malenko would go
Yeah.
out there and he'd stretch you and then he'd leave. And
Yeah.
I
I mean,
liked
even
that. How it,
yeah,
go ahead.
even his music, like his intro music
Yes.
in WCW, where even just the music alone was so intimidating. You know, it was just insane. Like he was, to me, he was the perfect package of professional wrestling.
I like it. Him and somebody else I don't think gets a lot of credit that deserves it is Lance Storm. Lance Storm
Yes,
was somebody else that
absolutely.
kind of was like Malenko,
I
but
I
Canadian.
have to clap for Lance Storm. Absolutely, absolutely. That guy, man. Lance Storm did not want to conquer professional wrestling just because he didn't want to, but he could have. He could have been, oh my
Very
God, just
easily.
extraordinary.
It's crazy because I mean, you look at like the start of like Lance Storm and Chris Jericho's career. They were right there pretty much the whole way until about the WWF. And then you could
Yeah,
tell Jericho wanted to go one way and Lance wanted to go another way. And
yeah.
Lance had a great career, Jericho's had a great career, but like some got to think like could have Lance been on the level of somebody? I don't want to say on the level of because that sounds messed up, but like could he be in the same conversation that people put Jericho in, like because people
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Jericho could be a goat. I think Lance could be in that same conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. You know, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, Jericho went more the bigger than Lance Storm, but I mean, when it comes to talent, when it comes to athleticism, physicality, mental awareness of professional wrestling, oh, hands down, Lance Storm is definitely on the same category as The Rock, Austin, you know, Triple H, all of those guys, man, CM Punk, all of those greats.
Definitely. I love seeing him be able to now help younger talent and help
Yeah,
train these younger guys and girls, help produce these younger guys and girls, and still leave his mark on
yeah,
professional wrestling. And I think in the most Lance Storm fashion, kind of even like Dean Malenko,
hmm,
just without needing the credit. Like we know he's doing
yeah,
it. He's not out there asking for, hey, I need you to give me my flowers. He's just leaving his mark on professional
yeah,
wrestling. I think where we need it.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and you know, one cool thing about those guys is like, you know, it's a necessity, right? Like the older generation has to pass down, you know, everything to the newer generation. I mean, that's the only way that this is going to survive, right? If we pass it down for generation and generation, and you know, having somebody like Lance Storm doing that and teaching the younger crowd or the younger talent, that's always an inspiration to me as well, because I that's one of the first things that I was drilled into my head, you know, when I was first training, was make sure that whatever we teach you, you know, you pass it down to the next person, because that's the only way that this is going to survive, like I said. So I mean, it's great, man. It's just what can you say about professional wrestling, right? That's just not amazing. It's just amazing.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. One more question, then I'm gonna let you go. You've done this. We've said it a couple times now. 22 plus years. What, if you had to pinpoint one, what's been your favorite or proudest, I should say, match or moment that you've had?
Oh man, there's so many to
Putting you on the
pick
spot.
from. Jesus, I would probably um oh man, you really put me on the spot. Yeah, there's really so many to pick up. I would say one of the most memorable things that I could think of, that I've gotten out of this sport, is the friendship with Super Crazy. Just for the mere fact that, you know, before I got to meet him or even work with him, I was a big fan like everybody else. I mean, I love Super Crazy. I loved his style, and I feel like he was one of the luchadors that solidified lucha libre in the States with his early stuff in ECW with Tajiri. I mean, it's just amazing, right? So the first time I was able to work with him, I was extremely nervous. Obviously, I mean, you're meeting one of your idols, so I let him tell me what to do, and I let him do everything. Unfortunately, he was a little upset at that night. It was for something that totally, completely different matter than the match. But I was thinking, oh man, I think I pissed him off. Oh no. So I went into the match with that mentality, right? Like thinking this has to be perfect or he's going to kill me. Um, but it turned out that he was just not, something else happened again, like I was saying. So the next time that I was able to work with him, was pleasant because we, we were friends. We became friends after the first booking, right? We were able to talk after the match. So the next time we were friends, it was great. It was like I was just talking to a friend that I haven't seen in years. So that was to me special because I remember going to the hotel room and just looking at myself in the mirror and being, dude, you just spoke with Super Crazy like you guys were friends. Like you guys used your first names with each other. You weren't SoCal Crazy. You were your given name. Like, how cool is that? So for me, that was like, oh, amazing. That's something that I'm always going to cherish, you know. And it's happened to me more, not just with Super Crazy. Now, you know, I can call these superstars that I idolized growing up. I can call them friends. You know, I can call Chavo Guerrero a friend, and Juventud Guerrero a friend, and all of these guys. So it's just amazing. Like, and that's something that I credit obviously professional wrestling with giving me. You know, it's great. It's that saying. I heard what a young cat in the scene said. It's awesome when your idols become your coworkers. It's great.
Yeah. It is. I mean, even in podcasting, I can say being able to get on here and connect with you guys. I've had the chance to talk with Rhino and Sabu before he passed away. Um, I'm blanking now, but like EC3, I've had conversations
Yeah.
with on here and outside of here. Just Jimmy Jacobs, like being able to talk to these guys that I grew up idolizing and like my dad grew up watching,
Yes.
is just
Absolutely.
so fun, and being able to actually have a connection because I think sometimes, especially when you're younger, we lose sight of the fact that you guys are human beings. We see you guys on TV or we watch you guys in the ring, and we see superhero, we see larger than life, and to be able to connect with you guys is probably my favorite thing about this podcast. So thank you for sharing your story. And I also want to say thank you for sharing and enlightening us on what not only, the battle with cancer looks like, but that road to recovery looks like. And I
Yes.
am so excited to see you beat it twice because it has to happen. So, from everybody here at ILWPOD, I'm going to throw out prayers and best well
Thank you.
wishes
Thank you.
your way for this road to recovery because I need a part two, and the only way that happens is if when you beat this. So I'll leave it now. When you beat this, we'll come back on for another one.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on. You know, it's us professional wrestlers that owe you guys everything because I mean, without you guys, we're just a bunch of dudes in spandex jumping around, right? Like you guys are the guys that are paying your hard-earned money to come and support us and support this great industry. So really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything that you guys have supported us. You know, throughout the years, man, it's been great. You know, again, we're nothing without you guys.
Of course, man. And yeah, same goes here. I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. Uh, I can't wait to, like I said, do another one of these. Do you want to shout out your social medias and even any upcoming SoCal Pro shows or any other shows that maybe the
Absolutely.
fans might be able to check out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. For those, you know, that are in the Southern California area, you know, man, we have a bunch of companies out here that you can definitely come and check out. You know, I myself, I'm a little biased with SoCal Pro because that's my home. So you know, we have a great school in North County, San Diego, in the city of San Marcos, the SoCal Pro training facility. So if you're ever in the area, you want to stop by, the doors are open. You're more than welcome to come in, check it out. Maybe you can train with us for a few nights. Maybe just work out with us for a few hours. You know, I graduated in you know, California. again, it's a hotbed for professional wrestling. So just keep your eyes open for it. I'm usually reposting and retweeting flyers in the area. So if you guys want to follow me, again, it's SC Crazy. My Instagram, Facebook, it's Diego Lee. And just check it out there and check out the flyers that I repost there. Because one thing that I myself love to do is I love to glorify my scene. I really do. I'm very passionate about the Southern California wrestling scene, and I'm gonna die on this hill. Like, to me, this area of the country has the best professional wrestling ever, and I'm gonna die on that hill. So if you guys check it out in the area.
Perfect, man. SoCal Crazy. I'm just gonna leave this off at see you next time, I think.